Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So the Washington Commanders are releasing cornerback slash safety Bobby McCain. So we'll talk about how this affects the secondary, what they will do to replace him, and how this affects the salary cap. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content on the road to 11,000 subscribers. Also hit that like button and the notification bell. It helps out a ton. I'll just read the tweet right here from Adam Schefter. He says the Commanders are releasing starting slot cornerback slash safety Bobby McCain per source. Commanders have young talent in the secondary. McCain was the odd man out, and the team will save $4.42 million against the cap. So I wouldn't say this is like extremely surprising. I would say it's a little bit surprising. If you would have told me Bob McCain would have been released, I would not have been like super surprised. But before Carson Wentz and maybe others like Logan Thomas, maybe I would be surprised if you said that, because I thought Carson Wentz would have been the first one, because that's just a 100% done deal. You got to release him, save $26 million. Bob McCain, I was kind of like 50-50 on if they were going to release him or not, but this does create a decent amount of cap space, about $4.5 million. Like, that's a good amount of cap space. And then if you move on from Carson Wentz, that's about $26 million. And, Logan Thomas and others, if you either restructure or release them, that'll save even more money. So my take on this situation, I think it's a solid to good move if they're able to find a solid replacement. Because right now, as it currently stands, the cornerback room is not great. You got Benjamin St-Juste and Kendall Fuller, who I like, both of them. Kendall Fuller is solid, and Benjamin St-Juste, when healthy, is good. You have a hole there in the slot. Maybe Danny Johnson can play it, but he's kind of a hybrid as well. You don't really have a replacement for Bob McCain, who played, I think, solid at slot. At safety, it was not great, but you need to find a replacement, and I think you will be able to find a replacement for relatively cheap. Could it be, it could be in the draft, or it could be in free agency. But I think it's very, very important for them to add a very solid cornerback to this room in free agency, because Fuller's solid, but you don't have anyone in the slot right now, and Benjamin St-Juste is very injury prone. He's good, but he's injury prone. So you combine all that, I think they need to bring in a cornerback in free agency that's I guess a starting slot guy, and then draft a guy as well in the first or second round that can play on the outside for you, or maybe in the slot. I don't know. They need to add to this cornerback room, but hear from Kime. He says Derek Forrest's play enabled Washington to move on from McCain. Forrest and Curl played well together. Washington would like to find another hybrid safety type to back up Curl. And you think about it, McCain and Curl were the starters when the season started. I guess once Curl got back from the injury, they were the starters. But Forrest was playing so well that eventually they had Forrest play free safety, Curl play strong safety, and they moved McCain in the slot. And I thought McCain played better in the slot than he did on the than he did at free safety. But still, at $4.4 million is a good amount to save, and I understand why they did it. He's a good leader, but his play isn't great. It's replaceable. You can add someone to it, but I just hope that they have a plan in place in terms of who they want to bring in, because again, if you switch too many things up in the secondary, it hurts your communication. That's the one thing about keeping the secondary the same, is you limit the communication issues. But they move on from McCain, bring in a slot guy, and I think everything will be fine for you. And still, I would like to get a cornerback in the draft. And Kime says, is this the same tweet? Or he says, key leader, but Washington will look to upgrade cornerback for his slot duties, and also look to add another hybrid safety who can back up Curl and play in 3 safety sets. We have Percy Butler, but he's more of a free safety than strong safety. He probably could play a little bit of it. But yeah, they might need to add another guy. They have Reeves as well, who is solid as well. So, and then just looking by McCain's stats over, 2 seasons with the Commanders, it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't good enough. You always are looking to upgrade, and there's definitely guys that they could add to this team. So this past year didn't have an interception. 2021 had 4 interceptions, also dropped a ton of interceptions, and had a pick 6 against Jake Fromm. Had 2 of his interceptions came against Jake Fromm. So he was solid, but time to move on, and I understand it. And there are some options in free agency. There's also some options in the draft. I saw a lot of people talking about Brian Branch as a safety that they can add. I really don't. I know some people disagree and they think we definitely need to upgrade at safety. I'm fine running it back with Curl, and I would be fine running it back with Curl and Derek Forrest. And, you can add a backup if you want, but I think cornerback is a much bigger need. So Devin Witherspoon would be great, Christian Gonzalez, and then if those guys are on the board, maybe you get Joey Porter, but I think he's a tier below those other two guys. And if that's the case, you can draft a tackle and then go corner in the second, maybe Akili Ringo or someone else that you can get as well. So that's just something to consider. I think I just saw a tweet from Ben Stanek saying that it is likely a June 1st. It's a June 1st cut, so they won't get the savings right now. Because I was thinking like 4.4 is a lot. Because I remembered like looking at the cap hit before, and I was like it wasn't 4.4. But if they wait until June 1st and cut him, that's what 4.4 will get them. Or yeah, that's what cutting him after June 1st gets them, 4.4, which is solid. They won't get the cap savings until then, but that's understandable. They just need to get a replacement. If they get a replacement, I think this is a good move. I just hope they're smart enough to know to have something in place where they can get someone, because the answer is not on this roster. It's not. Danny Johnson, is he okay? Yeah, but he shouldn't be your starter without any competition. I don't think he should be your starter regardless. I think he's a good depth piece. I think he's a good fifth corner, maybe fourth, but fifth corner. He's a good fifth corner for you. I think he should be on the roster as a second or last corner on the team. But you need someone better than him. At the minimum, I would say bring in a borderline starter going in free agency. But now that we have this hole at slot cornerback, I think you got to bring in a starting slot cornerback. Or if you really feel confident about getting someone in the draft, you could draft a guy in the first and then move Kendall Fuller into the slot, but you still would probably need another guy as a backup, and you can still get that in free agency. So regardless, I would try to get a starting level cornerback in free agency to replace Bob McCain. And yeah, I guess that is it for today's video. No other real news. There's some more ownership things, and all I want to say with that is, unless it's like concrete, like this specific person has put in a bid, or this person, the only really thing you can really believe is when they say, oh, Jeff Bezos put in a bid for 7.1 billion or something like that. All the other stuff, it's a lot of just BS. You don't really know what is really true, because a lot of these people want to put out certain information to make them look better, make other people look worse for the whole bidding process. So just don't pay attention too much to this whole situation until it's really, really official, or it's things that it's true. So that's it for today.